Yay, thanks.
Totally.
Oh wow, it says it in the corner. You can see it. Now it's all so real.
So real. Will you tell me about the things on the wall behind you?
All of them? What other things? This is a painting that I painted. This is a Kingdom Hearts poster that I got from Comic-Con, International Comic-Con. And then I got this at Comic-Con. It's from a video game promotion thing. And that's a ukulele that doesn't get used a lot. So it's on the wall now.
Cool.
More, but I don't play it, so it's not mine. So I'm not the one not using it. If that makes any sense.
It does. It looks super good on the wall.
It does, right? Makes me look like I know how to play it, even though I don't.
It does. Okay, I have our first prompt about failure. Define what it means for you to succeed at something. Describe the opposite of that, which is failure, and then where you think you got your ideas about success and failure.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude.
That's heavy. Sort of like figuring out what something isn't first. Well, let me think. So wait, the first part is then what is success?
Yeah.
Wow. I think.
So maybe like a successful project. How, like, if you've done a project, how will you know if it's been successful?
Oh. I mean, for me, having something that could be like critiqued after, like something to look at or to interact with, if that's what you're going for. I mean, from game making, of course, it's like something playable. Even if it's one little mechanic that's playable, like to test if something can move. But I feel like with other art, it's just like, can you look at it? Can't tell. And yeah, something that can be critiqued. That way you know what you need to fix so that you can just reiterate and do it again and see if you can do it better that time.
That's so great.
I try. No, yeah, I mean, that's what I think success is as far as like projects. It's like at least getting to the end where you have something. And if it's not what you wanted or whatever, then I guess that could technically be failure, right? It's like not what you were going for, I guess, or it didn't meet your test. Like whatever the goal of your test was, maybe it didn't meet the goal of your test. It was like you were trying to make something and you tested that out and it didn't work, so you're gonna try something else. But as long as you have something that you can critique, then you've at least gotten some kind of knowledge out of the situation.
Whoa. Your like number one criteria of success is to finish the fucking thing.
It's to finish something. Like you might not have the whole thing, but you got something, you know? Like if it's a movie or a story, it's like, well, let's finish the storyboard. And it's not a whole movie. If we showed somebody the movie, you know, if we showed somebody just a storyboard, like that could be cool, I guess. Yeah, but it's not a film or anything. Or like a game or a cartoon when they make it. But it's like, well, now we have what the whole story written down and what it looks like, right? So we've got something. Let's just move on to the next. You know? That's
interesting because I think maybe a lot of people measure success by the effect they think their project's gonna have. Like, ooh, I want like 10 million people to play this game. I want like the occupation of Palestine to be over next week. Like, I want, you know, like really tangible things that other people have to do in order for you to be successful, which I think is important, but maybe success is the wrong word for that. Maybe it's like effect or like connection or like activation is a better word for those kinds of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Expectations.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think just because with like making things, more often than not, like they just don't come out exactly how you want them to. Like especially with like art projects, or I feel like with drawing and illustrating, especially, like things usually come out way different than what I wanted them to. And then especially with games, like there's so many pieces that it's just like once you get from to actually making things, it's like really different than kind of what you thought. So it's like as long as you have anything out, then it's like we're gonna get closer and closer to it. Because I feel like with a lot of things, you're trying to craft it in your brain, but it's like just doesn't work that way. It's like you have to get stuff sort of out, which is weird. Because then when I think of failure, though, it's like I think mostly of like not meeting deadlines.
Yeah.
Or like not having all of a checklist done by the deadline. You know what I mean?
It sounds like maybe the way that you're describing failure and success are sort of newly shaped ideas based on your training in game design. That like these
Yeah.
probably weren't always the way you thought about it. Is that true?
Yeah, kind of. I think yeah, kind. Well, I think as well as yeah, it's like because with game design, I feel like it's much more connected to other people. So I have to, it's like somebody has to play it. You have to get it to where it's gonna go to other people. Whereas like art, I mean, a lot of times I would feel really good if I made sort of like the point of art to like give it to people. But at the same time, being an artist, you can just draw something at your house and nobody ever sees it but you. Or like paintings that I just put on my wall and then they're just there. So I
Yeah.
think that's probably why. It's like with games are they're like so different, but it was also like little lessons I was already getting in like illustrations and stuff, which is it's not gonna come out how you want it. It just has to come out. It has to come out by a time. And once it's done, the only way to have stuff to be like I've done these things is to just get it done. If you like, I feel like if you're like waiting for it to feel really done, it's like just never gonna get there because you can always add something else usually,
Yeah,
depending on them.
that's great. You're totally doing better at that than I am. Okay, here's the next one. When was the first time you remember experiencing failure? What happened? Who was involved? Why did it feel like a failure? Did someone tell you that you had failed? Were you made fun of anyway? Did you try again or did you give up? How did you feel afterwards? So tell me about a time that you failed, Alfie.
Oh man. Uh, 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 there's so many probably. Hang on a second. My brain is like flooding with things. Like,
So many failures to choose from.
right. I mean, I failed courses. Well, I'm trying to go back though, because it's like recently I failed some courses in school and I had to retake them, which sucks. But I'm trying to think like original failures, like all the way back. I think that totally does go back to like it's weird. It all just goes back to school, kind of. I feel like because it is sort of like they tell you that you failed. I'm trying to think being a kid and like failing at something.
Well, it's so interesting. I was thinking about that too. Like, I think most of the times I've been told or I feel immediately that I have failed is when I have set a goal that's too specific. Because people are always saying, like, you won't know if you're successful unless you say, like, this is the exact outcome I'm going for, and then you'll know if you've met it or not. But it's the same thing in school. It's like if you don't know all the capitals of all the 50 states, then you're a failure. But if it's like, you know a lot of them, or like your goal was to improve the number that you knew, then you can succeed, right? I never thought about that. But like goals that are too specific are getting in my way of success. I'm gonna write that down.
That's smart. Goals that are too specific, getting in the way of your success.
I mean, I know that's like totally counterintuitive, and specific goals are super important. So like at least you're aiming for something. But it's the same thing that we shouldn't maybe measure our success by if we meet them, but if we're going in that direction, which is what you were telling me last time we chatted.
Yeah, I feel like that's what a lot of people's advice is like, I mean, no matter what you're trying to do, you just can't fill up all of your time with like doing this one single thing because you have to do so much other stuff. So it's like as long as you're doing something like advancing you that way. Like I've been playing a lot of like RPGs. So I was playing Elder Scrolls, and it's like basically this like really big RPG that has so many stats. So it's like the more you're playing, you're just like constantly going up these like little bitty levels. And I think like that way, or when I play those games, it's like much more tangible, and you see like, oh, and I think that's harder to put on like a bigger scale, which is like you're like getting there. Like for me, it's like I'm terrible at resume stuff, and like every time I have to update it, it just like I'm so over it already. But yeah, it's like now it's like once I finally have it done, it's like, oh, now I have a resume. So if I want to apply to things, I can. It's like just inching little things. It's like, am I gonna make a resume and apply to 50 things in a week? Like I don't know, but if I like try to apply to like 1 or 2 a week, and that gets repetitive. Like once you get in, once basically, if I can do it just even a little bit, you're like closer.
Yeah.
I'm presenting to everyone, by the way.
Yeah, I was wondering how it would look to other people. So I don't know. You're seeing something different than I'm seeing, and I want to make sure we're seeing everybody's faces. I don't know what that means, but
I mean, now I'm big on my side anyway. So
good. This is a fun one. Do a word association exercise with the word failure. Skills you read them, and then the same one for success. So why don't we just do it out loud? Oh.
Sorry. This is always deagling and jingling.
Oh,
Where'd it go?
puppy.
Oh, and there's a cat somewhere.
Hi,
Here,
puppy.
oh, he won't stay still. That's why I had to give up on that. Let me see if I can get the cat. The runner. No, the cat will not be filmed.
Nope.
No,
Cool.
ran. She's like, no, I'm okay. She usually does that. It's like she's trying to get your attention until you give her attention, and then she runs away.
I'm
Anyway,
such a
so
cat.
a word association with failure.
Yeah. Let's go back and forth.
Okay, so failure, and then I just think of what do I don't know. I guess like negative. What I'm realizing lately, which is like probably not the best mindset, but negative anyway. Negative.
Yeah.
You go.
Loss, like losing face or losing like credit or something like that.
Yeah, losing.
Like people expect less from you the next time.
That's so true. Let me think. Failure. Yeah, I guess now also just from people's advice, like lesson, like maybe knowledge, like, because that's the thing is that I'm realizing, or people say it's like, it's sort of like in the logical argument, it's like in math, you can try to find one thing, but you could also try to find the answer by figuring out what it's not. So failure is essentially still some kind of information in like some weird sciencey way. It's like now you know all the ways that it's not. So it's like however terrible feeling it was, now you have a really easy way to be like, I don't want to feel that terrible feeling anymore.
Yeah.
Or like next time we'll avoid that terribleness just a little bit.
Okay, so let's do success. Success,
Okay,
is like
success.
joy, pride.
Yeah. Yeah, pride. Excitement, I guess, is usually it. I think about when like eating.
Comfort, but I actually think I only feel successful when I've done something that doesn't feel within my comfort zone. If I've done something that's like I can do any day, I don't feel successful. I just kind of feel bored,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess because it's like in one way, even just doing little things, yeah, like washing the dishes is like a success. You said you were gonna do it, you did it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel as like amazing as if you said you were gonna write a book and wrote a book. Yeah. Which you wrote a book, it's like, whoa.
Let's see. Describe a time when you were so afraid of failure that you decided not to attempt something new. Then describe a time when you were afraid of failure, but you attempted whatever it was you had in mind anyway.
Ooh. Let me think. Something that I just didn't. There was recently a Cartoon Network game jam. I think we talked about it, and basically there was like you could apply to be in it but you had to have a team already put together, which is not usually how game jams work, and you had to like sort of apply to it. So like a lot of game jams, you just show up and you figure out your team, but like this one, you had to sort of apply and have a portfolio, and I didn't, so I was gonna have to like make some stuff, and I just was like, I don't think I'm gonna get it, so I'm probably just not gonna apply and go to the global game jam, which anybody can just walk in and do.
Huh. Because that's something where you had to do more work. It wasn't like you had all the skills already and you decided not to do it. It was like all the things that we don't want to do are things that will take a little bit more work.
Yeah, basically. And that's the thing is, it's like I feel like it's just like this weird thing where it's almost like I'm not doing anything anyway, really. But it was like, why not? My brain is like, I don't want to invest in stuff that might not work, but maybe, it's like, what if I do that and then nothing happens? But it's also like, well, like logically, yeah, it's like, well, I would have been at square one then. I'm not doing anything anyway. It's like
napping, yeah.
You just sort of exist, and it's not like everybody has a like super, I don't know, responsibility, especially if you're trying to go for the thing. It's like if your goal is to do it, you might as well just do it.
Yeah. So what about a time when you were afraid of failure, but you did it anyway?
Probably canvassing, talking to people face to face. That one, well, that was more of starting a job because I was too awkward to like say that don't feel comfortable doing the things that we have agreed on. But basically, yeah, like I think trying to get people to get like donate money was really hard, and like trying to meet quotas and stuff,
Mm.
and just like, and it was, yeah, it was like always scary pretty much every single time all day, you know, like I don't think it was ever not scary, but that one I like really stuck in. Yeah, I just think it's talking to people is never, it's never not scary. I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm realizing about certain things is like they always kind of suck. You just do it anyway because you got to try, and then
Have
sometimes
you
it
read
worked.
the shit sandwich article?
The
Is it
shit
Mark?
sandwich, I think so.
Yeah. Like, there's a little bit of shit in every sandwich. Like, there's a little bit, but there's like also a lot of good stuff. Like in every sandwich. So what kind of shit sandwich are you gonna eat, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I had read that, which really put it in my head. Yeah, I think because especially for somebody, I complain a lot about like everything, or I just get really emotional when stuff goes wrong. So especially when I'm like, yeah, in one of those moods where it's like, well, everything sucks, but then it becomes even more like poignant and clear that if everything sucks, then you might as well try to do something anyway, because it's gonna suck, but maybe sometimes it won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just aim for those sometimes, you know. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a time when I was too afraid of failure to do something.
I do that all the time. Makeup.
I mean,
I'll tell you what, that's one. I can't do makeup. I try to do makeup and it never comes out right. Like, or I just see people who do like really hardcore makeup. They like contour their face. No.
yeah.
I'm afraid I'm gonna put on makeup and just look like the Joker or just look terrible. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm good. I'll work on it. That's
Contouring
why
is like, it's a mystery.
you know.
I feel like you need a degree in contouring to be able to do it properly.
There's so many tools too. It's just like, see, that's the thing. We're just too lazy to learn the tools, you know. They're out there.
Like if you spent, I don't know, $25 even, like at the dollar store getting kinds of like sponges and stuff, you could probably get everything you needed. And I have to watch a bunch of things for like 2 hours and then get really good at it.
And see, that's the other thing is like, especially stuff like makeup, but in general, I'm just learning so many things are essentially like muscle memory. Like even things that you have to do with your brain. It's like I know that was a really big thing when they were teaching us programming was like, it's just muscle memory. Like I think people think that you have to be smart or you know, like some kind of special thing for a lot of stuff. But it's usually just like doing it 100 times. And like you're probably gonna look really stupid when you do your makeup. And
write that down.
Whatever.
You don't have to be strong.
Yeah, do it again. You know.
You don't.
That's really like you have to do it 1,000,000 times, and then you'll be good at whatever it is.
It's like the 10,000 hour rule or something like that about how long it takes you to become an expert.
Yeah, I love that. That always made it really tangible too, because it's so true. It's like you just have to do things 1,000,000 times, and I feel like I watched this thing on the internet, which was like people being in the flow of stuff and like I don't know, like chopping up fruit, but they're just doing it really quick and like tossing it, and it like lands perfectly. And I feel like you see stuff like that, and you're like, oh, those people must be magic or like super skilled. And I was like, they just did it 1,000,000 times, you know. Do it every single day, usually, you know. Like,
yeah, and we're watching the video of the like 2 minutes where they did it perfectly. We're not seeing years before that they were learning. This is.
Sorry, I had to
show you
stop
Olive.
these
This is Olive.
Aw, hey kitty.
What else do they got? Do you know anyone who has let a fear of failure hold them back? Describe this person and their potential.
This one's tough.
Whoa.
I always feel weird talking about other people.
Yeah, there's a person who came to mind, but it's a little too political for me right now.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's a tough one. So let's see.
Cause like, I don't know. I think that the question before this that I didn't ask is failure subjective or objective? And I was just gonna say like, oh, I think this person has let fear of failure hold them back. But like, who am I to say? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they feel successful or not. Like, why am I?
Yeah, it's really tricky because I feel like in some ways it's like success is also sort of just meeting goals you set, you know?
Mhm.
So it's like if the goal was make a movie, like, or even make a good movie, you know, or like whatever your goal is, it's sort of like, did you do that? And then it's like, if you can say yes, then it's like, oh, okay, then everything went good, you know. But if you're
Yeah.
like, you say no, then it's like I failed. It's hard to know what people's like, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, what is success to them or whatever, I guess, kind of thing. I know. I mean, I know some people who like kind of have like stuff as far as like school kind of comes to mind. Like a lot of people who were like, I was gonna go back to school, but I just didn't, you know, or like I was gonna do this, but I just didn't.
Yeah.
I know in game design, there's like a bunch of people I know just for like little projects that you know don't finish stuff because it's like they start an idea and then it just sort of gets too big, and then we just sort of like lose track of stuff and
That's what I'm like.
yeah.
I kind of like need to know what the whole thing is going to be before I even put like a little bit of energy into it, which is stupid, which never gets people anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a really big thing. I feel like people who succeed, or when I think about them, I'm like, oh, that person is successful. I feel like
Mm.
it's just they just try a bunch, you know. I
Yeah.
think that's what it is. But it's so hard to like, you know, it's so something that you're never gonna see. You know what I mean? Like for like artists, you know,
Mm.
comes to mind, like they show you their portfolio, which is like full of stuff that looks good. But I mean, you're not gonna see like, yeah, the like hours and hours that they're just drawing stuff and the like hundreds or like thousands of pictures or like whatever their craft is,
Yeah.
like thousands of those products that like nobody bought and it's just sitting there. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
nobody ever seen, or like some people saw but they didn't sell anything, you know.
That's really interesting because I wrote down a couple of minutes ago to set, like what you were talking about, to set value-free goals, to like iterate a lot, to like make a movie, not make a good movie. Which
Yeah.
like doesn't mean I go out to make a bad movie, but it means that I go out to make movies over and over again.
Yeah.
Thinking
Well,
about
those are like nobody wants to make a bad movie. Well, I guess sometimes that's the goal, I suppose.
right, good bad movie. But
You're
like
trying,
I think a lot of people for like success, they think about visibility. That like
yeah.
they want to be visibly successful. They only want to be seen doing good work, which like is okay. It's okay to fail too, but you don't have to advertise your failures. Like just what you were saying with your portfolio, that like you get to pick and choose, like you get to show your best work and you get to learn on the things that you're not. That's just like totally like not everything I have to make has to be good. Oh, God.
I mean, yeah. Well, I think that the what I remember, I just know that like I was trying to, you know, I have such a it's such a like thing in my brain where I can get really negative on my own, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't really need any help. But
Totally.
then, like I said, failure doesn't feel good necessarily. Or like that's the thing is maybe it's like how, you know, yeah, like trying to figure out like was I sort of taught that way, or I just feel like when I think about it, it's not something that particularly feels good. And if
Mhm.
anything, it's like really frustrating. But I'm starting to realize that that's like my own personal like issues and like experience and thing I was taught, because you meet other people and they're just like, no, keep making stuff. Like, you know, it's like, oh, that looks terrible. Like, no, it looks okay. You know, it's like, or just like,
Yeah.
whatever, like what, you know, just keep making stuff. You know, it's like we were trying to make a game, you like made it. It's like, oh well, it's not like that big game that sells right now. And it's like, well, yeah, you know, I don't know. It's like a lot of times those took years and years and years, and even then, sometimes they took years to make and made a game and nobody bought it. You know, so it's like you just keep making stuff. One of them
And
was
what I just wrote down when you started talking was community, because like we can get down on ourselves so easily. Like we don't need help doing that, but we do
yeah,
need other people who are also failing, who are trying to make work.
yeah,
Just like hold us up. I don't need their judgment. I don't need their like evaluation of how good my work is, because I have my own standards.
hmm
And I wish that was more the norm in circles of creative people, which I think like creative people are especially sensitive to it. They're like, oh, do you want feedback on this thing? Like, I'm not going to tell you what I think unless you ask me, which is cool. But I wish more of it was about like, do more work. Like, we're really excited to see what you make and what you want to do.
Well, that's why I think I like game design so much. Is
Mhm.
it's almost like it's like the opposite, and that's why I think it's really challenging in some ways.
Mhm.
Like, but or it's just really funny. Like I feel like because yeah, with like some stuff, it's like in a lot of creative circles, it's like yeah, like how you said, people wanting to give, like, make sure they have consent to give you feedback, and like other people, it's like it's not a finished product. Like, don't even, and like that's all you have to say. And some people are like, oh, okay, like that's it.
Yeah.
Judge this. Just gonna tell you it looks great, you know. Or sometimes it's like I'm not gonna tell you anything at all. I'm just gonna, you know, like, okay, it's not done. But games is like the total opposite. Like,
Whoa.
it's just like the exact opposite. They tell you like right away. I mean, like our professors and stuff like laugh about it all the time. They're just like, or like, and then they laugh about it or like make jokes, but sometimes they also just say it really totally seriously, which is like if you don't like feedback, you can't do this. Like, period. Like, not accepting feedback, or, you know, like not wanting to hear feedback is like it's not something in game design.
Yeah.
It's,
Well,
it's
and
not, it's not even something you're allowed to do. You know, like if you want to make a good game, you officially now let everybody take whatever stage it's in, and they just get to judge the crap out of it. And
well,
you,
and I
like,
wonder if that's different for things like game design, because there's a certain, like, there's functionality in game design, whereas with art and film, it's like there are things you like about it. Like, there's some technical things you'd be like, ooh, that edit, like that jump shot should have happened a few seconds earlier. But I think most of the feedback with game design is like, ooh, this thing doesn't work right. I don't know. I just feel like if you're in a gallery, someone's not going to be like, oh, like you should have like moved the brush. They're going to be like, I don't like this, or like it reminds me of this. I don't know.
Well, it's like, yeah, I see what you're saying. That's definitely like one part of it, but it also sort of all ties in together. Like, that's definitely, I think, the like programmer side of it is like testing it. But also, I mean, from that like design point, it's like if you're just making like if you're just trying to like code poker, and you know, you just want to test whether it works, you know, and like here and there you will like see emotions, like, and ask yourself if that's cool. And I think though, when you get to like indie games, and even sort of like not like even like bigger budget games, they try to like push to the bounds of it. That's where you start to like have to do the, like, what did that feel like? You know, like, are you having fun? Like, where did we want them to have fun? Because that's the thing, is in indie games now, especially, that's like becoming a bigger debate, which is like, are games supposed to be fun? Like, are they inherently fun? And so now we're trying to like find these emotions in people. And so that's where you know, it becomes a little like similar. It's like the way you were saying, like if somebody looks at a painting and they're like, that makes me feel this, like, I don't like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Then we have to like look at that and be like, well, we put that painting in the game, and we know this one makes people feel bad. Like, do we want them to feel bad? Like, maybe I do want them to feel bad, you know? So, or maybe I want them to feel happy. Let's pick a different picture, kind of thing. Yeah.
How
but
do you
I think, or go ahead. No, I feel like I'm talking a lot. You go ahead.
I just wonder how we can bring that kind of like positive, like actionable feedback into other creative spheres, because it sounds like not just in your school, but like in game development circles and a lot of places you've been, that's the norm. And it would be cool if, like in film or other kinds of visual arts and poetry, that was the norm. It's just so hard to control for people who you don't want to be hearing from. And like artists are so sensitive that like I wouldn't just bring my poem anytime I read my poems out loud to have someone be like, that word, or like, ooh, like I wouldn't want to build in feedback time for everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely you have to sort of like, I think with other mediums, it's like you definitely have to like tell people when they can, shouldn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think, well, yeah, it's just like, I feel like, yeah, you know, with other mediums you can do that. I think it's just sort of like here and there you can sort of evaluate. I mean, art is really like subjective, so it's also really tricky that way. Like sometimes people are just telling you their like opinion, you know, so which is like based on their experience. So, and you know, that informs you in some ways. It's like it's really hard not to get emotional about things, you know, you know what I mean? It's like it does inform you in some way, at least about this person. It's also just, it also depends on like how people do. It's like also not like you can get berated by anybody and that's okay. You know what I mean? It's like it still does have to be like actual helpful advice, you know? It's like people are
I just wrote down trust yourself, because I feel like my whole life I'm always like, well, what about this answer? Well, what about this answer? Like I can't commit to any answer until I know like how it's going to read with the rest of the world, or like what's going to get me the closest to my goal. And just like comparing the way right now that you and I have both been like answering questions, is that you like kind of have more of a trust in yourself. You're like, yeah, people are gonna have feedback, and like I'm gonna make my choices. And I just think all of these things, like you have to know when in your process to ask for feedback. Like all of these things, you just have to be the owner of your own creative process, and that has to be the end of it. And I'm still working on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that's in progress, unless you're like the master. But even it's just like everything just changes so fast, especially with technology nowadays. I feel like there's no medium where you can be the master, of everything. Like even when I think of like the best people of all time, it's like, and especially like I think that's what I mean. I think games just help me realize little concepts that can't. Maybe not every single concept has an exact place in other people's work, but it's just like some concepts are just there that like they do inform. I feel like no matter what your work is, there's a lot of things I've learned with games that I think could apply to other things in my like creative things that I've tried to do. And one of those is things just keep coming, and like you're always going to be a student. So it's like I feel like waiting for this moment where you feel like you've just mastered everything. It's just like, yeah, it's like a little, it's like not, it's a little like, not ridiculous, but just not very realistic as far as like, you're going to have to keep learning stuff, and a part of that is like being able to ask people like what they thought of it and being able to like sort of discern what they're saying, like take away your emotion from it and being like, I think the other thing that's really helpful is when you are accepting people's advice, being very specific and like asking a lot of questions. And that way you sort of start to get rid of the emotion of it. It's like if you already have like, I don't know whatever it is, but with games, it's like they tell you ahead of time, have your questions for the testers already sort of figured out, like they'll tell you a bunch of stuff on their own. And if it's like a really technical test, then they'll just be like, this doesn't work, there's a bug here, blah, 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 blah. But if you're like testing an audience of just random people to see how they feel about it, and like, did they have fun, or like, what was their experiences? It's like, you also want to have like questions already ready. That way I feel like it also just gets you ready for whatever their answer is going to be.
Totally. Makes sense. So what's your next success going to be?
Oh no, is that a prompt? Oh no.
No, it's my prompt.
Oh wow, that's a good prompt.
My next success is going to be filming a thing that I wrote. Ooh. That's it. That's the next success. I'm not going to say if it's going to be good. I'm not going to say which project because I'm working on a bunch of things. But it's going to be to film something where I did the shot list, where I chose the people who are going to be in it. I chose where the camera was going to go. And then I'm going to do my best with my limited editing skills to edit something together and then be done. That's my next success.
That's a good one. I think. Hey, calm down, boy. Sorry. He got excited about me thinking. I think the one that comes ahead to my mind that makes me really excited, seems like the next on my docket is my next success is going to be writing out a rough draft of rules for like a game, but like really that way, settle all the rules and sort of have something all the way done, and then that way I can run through it and poke at the holes and figure out like, okay, well, if this happens, then what? And if that happens, then what? Blah, 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 blah.
Cool. High five.
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. That sounds like a good success.
Yeah. Cool. Do you want to tell people who you are and what you're working on? And I'll do the same, and then we can be done.
Okay. My name is Alfie.
At the beginning.
Yeah, I know, right? We could have done that at the beginning, but I like this. Now people know who we are. Now it's like entering a conversation at a bar and then being like, "Hi, by the way, my name is whatever the heck."
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
My name is Alfie, and I am a game designer. Well, game design student. I'm a game designer. I am a game designer. That's its own thing. They make us repeat that in several different inflections. I'm a game designer, and I'm working on completing my bachelor's degree in game design, and then also working on some projects that explore human emotion and better representation in games, that kind of stuff.
Cool. I'm Bonnie, and I'm cat sitting right now. This is Olive. Hi.
That was perfect.
I am a writer and a filmmaker, and I'm interested in representation in media and how I can use immersive storytelling to challenge people's understanding of what they think should be happening in the world and have them make conscious choices about how they want their world to look. That's what I'm doing right now, somehow.
Somehow.
Yay! Go team! Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, that was fun.
Yeah, it was. Okay. Well, bye.
Okay, let's do it sometime soon. Oh, I guess we're not going to be here. We're do you know Max and Ashley?
Yeah.
Honest Friends? Yeah. That's where we're house sitting. So we're not far from the pie spot.
Ooh. Yeah, we should hang out, and we should also set a date or time to watch that Star Wars movie.
Oh yeah, I mentioned
Well,
it.
it's called The Force Awakens. Some old school Star Wars person was like, "There's only one Star Wars. You're talking about The Force Awakens," and I was like, "Okay,
Okay.
that's true. That's true. They're not in episodes. That's a lie.
Okay,
It's Force Awakens. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna awaken."
Like Easter weekend, right?
That sounds good. Yeah.
Resurrection and shit, and I don't know. Cool.
Yeah, you're right.
We'll find
It
a
does.
time.
We will.
All right, bye, friend. Thanks.
Bye.
Look at your successes and your failures.
I know. Bye.
Bye.